Hello friends, this is Scott back in my backyard garden. I'm taking a look back at this season's garlic crop because today's project is I need to get this raised bed all prepared with new compost from my compost bin so that I can start planting garlic here in the next couple weeks. The garlic did okay, but my mix wasn't quite right. What I like in my compost is I like a living compost. Redworms are everywhere in my compost. I'm just letting Mother Nature do it. I'm not flipping it and turning it as much. It's just all the good kitchen scraps and yard waste and stuff from the chicken yard, and I'm just letting it kind of sit. As you can see here, it's not a lot of compost. I use my compost screen and I screen it out. But the problem I have is with this in-ground pit is tree roots. I've got a big maple tree and I've got grapes, and they're just all through here. You know, the nutrients rich soil in the compost bin has really attracted the roots. So I've got to actually dig them out, which is kind of a pain in the butt rather than just use my fork there. But I've got a big wads of roots that I can get some really good compost and topsoil from. I've got a mixture of other soils in here. Because I just built this, it's been about a year and a half ago, I built this pit in a trampoline pit, this compost bin. So I just got to dig this out. It's a little bit of a pain because it's all tangled together, but it's a really good, really rich compost material. A little bit of a head cold today, so I'm sounding a little down, but I'm, feeling pretty good. It's just a cold. It's not the dreaded COVID. So we're just screening and just keep on swimming. I was going to use my fork, but it's still shovel work. So I'm just going to, hopefully fill up this 50-gallon trash can with good compost, and I'm going to take it over to my raised garlic bed, and I'm going to put it on over there. But I enjoy working with compost. I used to run a business called Urban Compost Systems, which was a farmer's market-based business. And I built compost bins and different gardening products, and I taught people how to make compost. And then I'll do another whole video on making compost. Finding little potatoes and little miscellaneous things in the compost. There's always a little mystery, a little surprise. But look at all these tree roots, just tons of them. And there's lots of other life other than just redworms. Lots of bugs and lots of earthworms also. And I don't wear gloves, so you probably wonder. I always have dirty hands and sand under my fingernails, and that's the life of the summer gardener. I like to feel the soil, though. I don't like wearing gloves. But looks like some pretty rich stuff. Just rubbing it through the screen. Anything that's too big to go through the screen, I'll just throw back in the bin, and it'll just keep decomposing. I did move the fresh material over to the left side of the bin, and I'm screening from the right side. So everything will go in the left side for a while until that's totally full, and then I'll start filling the right side. This is going to be the very active time to start collecting more compost material for next year when all the leaves start falling off the trees, because it seems like there's always either a supply of brown material, i.e. leaves, or green material, i.e. grass, at different times of the year. So you've got to stockpile the raw materials so that you always have enough to mix, because if you don't have the right ratios, the material just kind of sits there. Again, I'm not being ultra careful. Here's some more redworms. As you see, a big old clump of redworms on some kind of food item there. But there's just all through here. The chickens love them as a treat. So when it becomes winter, I'll let the chickens out and just let them kind of have at it at the yard. But right now, I still got stuff that they'll destroy, so I'm not going to let them out until the garden's almost done. Here's have you ever like a drumstick? There's one of that was my Rhode Island Red queen chicken that I put in the compost bin just to see how well they would do, or the bin would do breaking it down, and everything's gone except for that one leg bone that I could find. But here's a mixture of there's some sand in here and some compost and other soils, and so it's not all pure compost. Still lots of worms in here, but that's about 40 gallons, 45 gallons out of the 50-gallon that I'll have for compost for this little bed here. Again, this is a raised bed that I put up on sawhorses. It's an old worm raising bed. Yeah, there's an onion. I always miss something in a harvest. And for some reason, the garlic does really well in here. And so I've just continued to leave the old soil in and just keep adding fresh to it. I'll get some bone meal and some blood meal probably and mix it in here also. I did it last year, and maybe it wasn't quite broken down enough for the plants to take in. So maybe that having that same soil in there and then adding some more will help. But I'm going to use that whole entire container to fill this bin. I'm not going to plant for a couple weeks. I just wanted to get it ready. Get it, nothing fancy. Just load it up here. This is my third bucket. I had to get it unweighted down a little bit because I'm not quite strong enough to pick up a whole 50-gallon container full of soil. But I'm going to show how strong I am here in a minute with the last bit. But I think I probably got 35, 40 gallons of compost in here, which is pretty good for this bed. It's probably more than I need, but here we go. Here's the rest. I drug the can over there from the other side of the yard. Got a little yard debris, found its way in there, but I'll get rid of that. But it's really rich, really dark, really rich, sweet compost. It's got lots of worms in it. The worms will live in the bed as long as I keep the soil moist. I'll have a good supply of redworms in here also. So just spread it out, getting it ready. You can see behind me, my Asian pear tree is loaded with fruit, but very small fruit. Disappointing harvest this year. Here I am in the chicken yard. I just took some compost, and now I've got to start replacing that material. And there's nothing better than a bunch of straw, hay, weeds, chicken manures, sawdust, a little bit of everything in here. Makes for a great brown material. I need to mow the yard in the front, and then I'll throw some grass in there to get it started with some nitrogen. But again, my younger days, I used to make lots and lots of compost. I would collect hundreds of bags of leaves, literally hundreds of bags of leaves every year, and I would have enough leaves to make compost all year long. But I'm getting a little long in the tooth, and so I'm not wanting to do that. I'm letting Mother Nature and letting the chickens eat all the green material, all the yard waste, and then I'm just moving it over to the bin and letting the worms take care of it from there and the other bugs. Here I like to, before I put some more fresh hay in, I like to turn the soil over just for the cleanliness, get some worms for the chickens, give them something to do, dig through. I didn't have my pointy shovel with me today. I just have this flat shovel that I was using, but it's loose enough soil I could do the job. Wrong tool, but still functional. Chickens like to dig through here and pick out a few tasty morsels. But again, I'm going to let them out through the whole yard, and they're going to have bugs and snails and slugs and centipedes and millipedes and everything that you could possibly imagine to eat. The chickens will kick through once I'm done with the gardening. So I'm just going to rake all this material together, put it in that 50-gallon bucket or garbage can, and then drag it back over to the compost bin and start next year's compost. Again, I'll have that bin totally full. All the leaves I get in my yard, as well as more straw, I'll just fill this chicken yard run with all that material so that they have plenty of places to kick through in the winter, and so get some insulation off the ground, and then just continue to add their manure to the mix. And then in the spring, I will create another whole bin of just the chicken yard waste, which you'll have enough of probably nitrogen in it, as well as the carbon to just break down itself like it did last year. So it's a little bit, gotta keep your mouth shut when you're doing this job. I didn't have a mask, and it is a dusty, kind of a crappy experience to be loading this stuff up. But it doesn't smell so much, it's just the dust is kind of unappetizing. But I'll fill this can up, not all the way, because again, I'm getting old and I can't drag the thing all the way over there. But I'll fill it up good and get a good start on the next compost pile in the double bin system. And here I am, I'm coming on over to dump this out, and I am putting the new material on the right. It's kind of an optical illusion to me originally, but that's where the newest material will go. And then I'll fill the bin totally full and then just kind of go from there. But it's a nice little area. Now, going back to the chicken yard, I've got to bring in this is just some straight grass hay. And I like to use hay more rather than straw because the straw is often sprayed with Roundup and the hay generally isn't. So I don't want that in that chemical in my eggs. So I'm just going to put this down in here and let them kick it around, and I'll put about a half a bale in, and then I'll have another half a bale that I'll put in once they're done kicking through this. And the chickens are always happy once the yard's cleaned up, and you can throw scratch in here, and then they just like to dig through it, and they enjoy themselves when I clean the coop. Thanks for watching today's video, and if you'd like to continue to follow me living my best rural life in the city, please subscribe to my channel, like, share, and comment, as I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.